You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for taking time out of their busy schedule to rock and roll with us as we get you caught up on everything surrounding this football team. In today's video, I'm going to show you some players that I think the Giants should look to target in NFL free agency. And we're talking big name players as the NFL salary cap has gone up from $242 million as the projected salary cap number for this year all the way up to $255 million. And the Giants, they are expected to have $38.9 million in cap space. I'm also going to show you how they can get that number closer to 70 and be big-time spenders if they want to. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We put out free, informative, entertaining content every single day. And we're going to be live for NFL free agency, keeping you updated on everything that happens around this team. So subscribe, turn your notifications on, and help us reach our goal of 43,000 subs. We're about 40 subscribers away. Alrighty, first move that the Giants could make if they want to, get rid of some cap space or create some cap space, is cutting Mark Lewinsky. That opens up $5.6 million in space. I think that is a no-brainer. And then you have two other moves that some people think are smart, some people think others that aren't. They don't like to always kick the can down the road. But when you have players like Thomas and Lawrence who are going to be on this team for quite some time, it makes some sense to kind of spread out that cap hit throughout the life of their contract. Can save almost $15 million if you restructure Thomas and almost $12 million with Lawrence. And then if you cut Aaron Robinson, Boogie Basham, and Gary Brightwell, you save another $3.7. If you make all of these moves, you potentially have $74.2 million in cap space. Giants don't need that much, but what they do need to do is improve this roster. This team lacked a lot of talent last year at a lot of different spots. We all know that after watching. And they need to get better in certain areas. It doesn't all have to be through free agency, but it is a nice tool that can help you sign some good players. They did that last year with Bobby Okereke, so hopefully they could do that again. If they do, I want to see them look at the offensive line and maybe a backup quarterback, an edge rusher, a cornerback, and a wide receiver. In today's show, I'm going to give you one player at all these positions the Giants could spend big-time money on. Let's start up front in the trenches. Offensive tackle, really offensive guard, do it all. Mike Onwenu from the New England Patriots. He's been in the NFL since the 2020 season, and he's really bounced around when it comes to the offensive line. He's played some guard, he's played some tackle, but he had his best season in the NFL this past year playing that right tackle position. He was really good when it comes to a pass blocker, and he's been that for a couple of years now. Actually graded out better in 2022 as a pass blocker compared to 2023. But I also like his durability. He's played a large portion of the snaps throughout his career, and he would just bring a steady force at that right tackle position, which is a big question mark right now for the New York Giants. Who knows if Evan Neal is going to ever be that player we thought he would be, selected number 7 out of Alabama. And I don't think that Neal can be your only investment at that right tackle spot. You pair Onwenu with Andrew Thomas as your bookend tackles. Your quarterback would actually have some time in the pocket to make some throws downfield. And he's also a good run blocker as well. You see the Pro Football Focus grades on the screen right there. How much would it cost? Well, PFF, they think he's going to get a 4-year, $58 million deal. That's 14.5 on average per year. And then $58 million total. That would pay him as well $33 million in guaranteed money. Onwenu is one of the best right tackles in this free agency class. It's a massive need for the Giants. You have to improve the offensive line. And with new offensive line coach Carmen Bracillo, I want to see him given a fair shot and given an actual chance to develop some young players. Onwenu, still only 25, 26 years old, only going to get better. He makes a lot of sense for the Giants. Another player they could look to spend big money on the offensive line is Kevin Dotson, interior offensive lineman from the Los Angeles Rams, was traded from the Steelers to the Rams prior to the season. They're thinking he's going to get big money as well over at PFF. 4 years, $69 million total, $41 million guaranteed. So if you want more of a right guard, Dotson's your guy. More of a right tackle, Onwenu is, but he's also got flexibility. Another name to keep your eye on, Jermaine Illuminor. He's got ties to the Giants, and I have heard they are very interested. Let's go to pass rusher now. Another really big need for this team. My favorite pass rusher in this class, and my number one target, would be Josh Allen. I wanted Allen to be a Giant back when he came out into the NFL draft. It just may be a little bit of a problem because Jacksonville does have the opportunity and the right. They can place the franchise tag on Allen. I've heard some people say they are going to. Others think they're going to try to hammer out a long-term deal because he is still a young player and only getting better. I would love to add Josh Allen. He is a freak of nature. If you can't, and he is franchise tagged, there are some other good players, though, at the edge rusher spot in free agency. Brian Burns, probably the top of that list, but he's also a franchise tag candidate. You look at a guy like Danielle Hunter. He cannot be franchise tagged by the Minnesota Vikings. He's at the top of my list as well. Had 16 and a half sacks last year, and we've heard the rumors about Bryce Huff as well as a potential Giant in free agency. Other guys you could look at, Chase Young. Young, talented. Does he want to leave San Francisco, though? I'm not so sure. Look at Jonathan Greener, Jadeveon Clowney, Zadarius Smith, Josh Uche, as well as Leonard Floyd. Floyd is a really good player, a veteran, but he's really just been productive at every stop he's had in his NFL career so far. I would be looking at a guy like Josh Allen. If he does hit free agency, the dude is special. He had 90 QB pressures this past year. The guy can get after the quarterback. Name a free agent you want the Giants to sign, though. We've talked about an edge rusher. We've talked about an offensive lineman. Name a guy you want to see wearing big blue next season that's a free agent coming up in a couple of weeks. I also would like to see the Giants spend some money on an offensive playmaker if they think that is something that they can do when it comes to cutting up the salary cap. Still want to sign Xavier McKinney and potentially Saquon Barkley. A guy I'm looking at the wide receiver position is Calvin Ridley. I know you can look at T. Higgins and there's Michael Pittman and stuff like that. I think those guys will be franchise tagged. And Ridley, in my opinion, is still one of the best receivers in the league. Coming out of that 2020 season where he had 9 touchdowns on over 1,350 yards with 90 grabs, he was so special. And he came into that 2021 season talked about as a top 5 receiver. Then some injuries happened, then the suspension, but he showed you after a year plus off of no football that he's still a really good player down in Jacksonville. And I like the connection that Ridley has with Brian Daboll. They at least know each other personally. They've worked together because they were both at Alabama during the 2017 season when Daboll was the offensive coordinator. And we've had a theme with this regime, Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, that they want guys that they know personally and how they operate in a team setting as well in a locker room setting. Ridley's a really good player. He can line up on the outside, can line up in the slot. He's gotten it done year over year, and he really embodies everything the Giants want as a wide receiver. He's multiple in where he can line up. He can run every single route on the route tree, and he's a generator with the football in his hands. He's a special player. There's some other good wide receivers, though, in this class. T. Higgins, the best of the best when it comes to the guys available, but he is probably going to be franchise tagged. Mike Evans, a little bit older. I'm going to stay away from him. Michael Pittman is a franchise tag candidate. I'm not all that interested in Marquise Hollywood Brown. I am a fan of Darnell Mooney, as well as Gabe Davis. I'm over Odell Beckham at this point. And then Tyler Boyd and Curtis Samuel. I think the Giants could do better than both of those guys. We'll talk about quarterbacks and cornerbacks coming up around the corner. We know the Giants want to pay a backup quarterback. The quote was they want something more than a long-term backup, a guy that has been more than a backup in his career. We'll talk about that. But first, I got to tell you guys about our proud sponsor, Game Time, the #1 ticketing app in the game. And when you use the promo code GiantsChat, Game Time is going to get you $20 off your first purchase. You get the best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed. And my favorite part of the app is prices drop as the events get closer. I'm a procrastinator. I like to spend money until I absolutely have to, and I love that about Game Time. Also enjoy that you can see the view of the stage, the court, whatever event you're going to, from the actual seat in the app when you're debating on which seat to buy. Game Time is awesome. You guys should check them out. Prices drop as the event gets closer. They always do these flash deals, specials, and lowest prices are always guaranteed. Last-minute tickets. Check them out. Game Time. Use the promo code GiantsChat for $20 off. If Joe Schoen was serious, or well, that's unfair to say, if the reports are true that Joe Schoen wants to sign a backup quarterback that is known as more than just a backup, a.k.a. has some starts under his belt, probably the biggest name in free agency outside of Kirk Cousins that comes to mind is Ryan Tannehill. Didn't play all that much last year, kind of changing of the guard for Tennessee. They have Will Levis now there, but we know who Ryan Tannehill is as a quarterback. He can come in, he can manage a game, and he can be a spot starter. But I also like the idea of him coming here and providing some competition with Daniel Jones in camp. And he's not going to cost too much if you do want to make him a Giant. Pro Football Focus thinks it's going to be a 2-year deal, $5.5 million per year, $10 million guaranteed, and $11 million total. So that's very doable for the Giants where they sit right now with their salary cap, and I still think he has some good ball in him. Look, are you going to win a Super Bowl with Tannehill? No. Are you going to win the NFC East with Tannehill? Probably not. But I do like that he's a veteran, and he's done it in multiple systems, and he does know the defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, so they'll at least have a reference point of how he operates. He's a leader. He's been a captain multiple years. I wouldn't mind seeing him on this football team. Other quarterbacks, I don't think Baker Mayfield's leaving. Gardner Minshew may be a guy. Jacoby Brissett, Jameis Winston. I think Tyrod Taylor is leaving. I'm not interested in Mitch Trubisky, Drew Lock. I do kind of like Tyler Huntley. I'll keep my eye on him. But those are some other top free agent quarterbacks that maybe the Giants could spend some money on. Last player and position we're going to talk about is the cornerback position. And one of my favorites in the league, I think he does it at a very, very high level, is L'Jarius Sneed of the Kansas City Chiefs. He really was the difference maker in Steve Spagnuolo's defense because he did such a good job on the opposing team's number one wide receiver day in and day out. And he lets you, as a defensive coordinator, be really, really creative. When he was targeted, he allowed a completion percentage of just 52, did not allow a touchdown this year, 14 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. And another thing that I really like about him is he'll come downhill and he'll hit somebody. He's not afraid to put his face in it, defend the run. And this Shane Bowen defense, it's a lot of heavy nickel and dime packages that he likes to run. So that means more DBs on the field. And if you're going to do that, you're going to try to stop the run, which he's been really good at. You want guys like L'Jarius Sneed that are not afraid to get downhill and get in the mix. How much would it cost? A little bit more than I would like, but hey, it costs to be the boss, and this guy's a really good player. He's going to get a lot of money, and he deserves every single penny of it. 3 years, $17.5 million per season, 35 guaranteed, potentially $52.5 million in total value. He's the best guy in free agency, in my opinion. I know Jalen Johnson is a player that a lot of people talk about this class being the best. I personally think Sneed is better. You got guys like Kendall Fuller, Chidobe Awuzie, Stephon Gilmore, a little bit older. Steven Nelson had a bounce-back year this year with Houston. Xavier Howard is expected to be cut by the Miami Dolphins. Kenny Moore, another guy I'm going to keep my eye on. Adoree Jackson, not sure how I'm feeling about bringing him back. Keyshawn Nixon is good. Also keep your eye on Sean Murphy-Bunting, play with Tennessee. He knows Shane Bowen, had a really good year there. Would not be surprised if he is a target for the Giants. But if I could choose any cornerback to sign, it would be L'Jarius Sneed. Him and Deonte Banks going forward as your CB1 and 2. That's pretty damn good. 5 big-name free agents at positions of need for the Giants. Mike Onwenu can do it all on the offensive line. Josh Allen gets after the quarterback. Calvin Ridley, offensive playmaker. Ryan Tannehill, a big-name backup quarterback that could potentially challenge Daniel Jones if they want to go that route, and L'Jarius Sneed. 5 guys I'd like to see. If you have any more questions or you want to hit me up about this segment on today's show, do it on Twitter or Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. Appreciate you. Hit the like button, and we'll see you later.